Lily, this has been building for a while, and your recent video about whinging on shows that haven't come out yet is why I'm finally making this. I agree with most of your points, especially how it's nonsense to hate a show's content from trailers alone, but what they say in the trailer says a lot about their priorities. The problem isn't with the show, it's the trailer and the company making it. The trailer is dislocating its shoulder, patting its own back so hard for unremarkable filler.
The fact that Crunchyroll Originals is doing this as a 2D animated series, it's giving us an opportunity to do things artistically that a lot of other shows and other studios really have forgotten how to do.
We are 50% female in all the creative roles, and our writer's room is 100% female.
I don't think anyone has seen stories quite like the ones that we're going to tell.
Nobody has tried to tell this story before? Well, from the bare bones description of the show, I can name a few entire genres similar to it.
That a lot of other shows and other studios really have forgotten how to do.
It tries to make being a 2D show some lost art in the current media landscape, but it ignores the fact that nearly all of the content on their whole platform is traditional 2D. And that only makes sense as a statement if they're responding more to American animation being saturated by 3D and Flash cartoons rather than the tastes Crunchyroll is supposedly catering to. Not only that, but I don't even need to leave Crunchyroll to find more 2D animation than I can reasonably watch in a lifetime with their bottomless pit of licenses that stretches all the way back to the 70s. And instead of talking about why we should care about High Guardian Spice, they proudly exclaim, "Look at how diverse our cast and staff are." That would have been worth mentioning 15 years ago, but nowadays it comes off like tacky Loaford pandering. It's the modern equivalent of, "Watch our show, we have a black person." It's like white balancing video footage in that you should only notice it when it's bad or missing. Doing good things is supposed to be business as usual, and the demographics of their staff and cast are only relevant in hindsight, even then only if it's good. The framing and marketing is a lot like framing in a headline. Compare police shoot unarmed college student to urban youth shot in altercation. Both headlines describe the same scenario, but they tell you what details the presenter wants you to respond to and how they want you to feel about it. Here's how much of their time is spent talking about the premise and setting versus cynically manipulating their viewers into starting out with positive feelings they didn't earn just because they have the decency to cast and staff without the old monoculture. There's no opinion to be had on High Guardian Spice itself yet, but I hope it's good and succeeds because the more we can get away from the current model of how things are made, the better. And I just like having good shows regardless of its source. Maybe it'll turn out to be a good show, but it is an anime. And that Digibro video you cite and apparently didn't watch was about how Crunchyroll itself is spending its effort. For a company that constantly talks about how it's supporting the anime industry and that your subscription dollars are going towards your favorite shows, why is it spending so much time not doing that instead of sponsoring more like they did, or fixing their basic player, which they only acknowledged publicly after being called out? Crunchyroll is another in a long line of platforms that don't seem to engage at all with what makes their service good. Hosting Ruby isn't evil, but it is emblematic of the problem. Precedent isn't a defense, it's a condemnation. It hosts non-anime content, refuses to make its player operable, especially at the dying days of Flash, which it still runs on, and doesn't bother to fix years-old subtitle typos. But we should call it supporting anime when they pull resources into making their own Western show when what we really want is what they claim to be doing? And that last part is the entire point Digi was making. Referencing the show was a throwaway line that was there to build a case for why he has a beef with Crunchyroll. He doesn't care about High Guardian Spice, not because it's Tumblr the anime, but because it's not what he wants from Crunchyroll. You called out someone who doesn't believe in gender for being one of those regressives who treat media like a zero-sum game. You saw what you wanted to see, reframed and added in arguments he didn't make so you can use him as the face of the sexist weeaboos who apparently hate High Guardian Spice because of its not being authentic anime in its diversity and representation and other buzzwords. I can't speak for the other voices on the subject, but I can tell you, Digi didn't say any of this. It makes me wonder if you actually watched the video or Digi's content in general, because if you spend a moment of research on the guy, you'll find that saying he represents idiots who use SJW as a slur is miles off from his actual politics. This is where my issue with your video and your work lies. All in all, this video is another bit of YouTube clickbait because Digi doesn't need defending, especially from a Z-Ray creator like me, and ultimately you're beneath his notice. The true point of this is that it's in addition to a long line of examples of you getting mad at something and then building a scenario around it to make your reaction seem reasonable. I saw it firsthand in your live stream of editing your future Steven Universe video. A commenter mentioned a Rebecca Sugar quote in a negative light, you looked it up, and seemed to read what she said entirely based off your initial anger, purposely misunderstanding it to justify how you felt. You read this quote and took away that Sugar was literally saying that you go to bed a child and wake up post-puberty. You seem to have taken the worst possible meaning from the quote just because you already dislike Sugar and are making a video going into extended detail about why you dislike her work. You're doing what school taught me to do with research papers. Look for articles supporting my argument and ignore detractors because I already turned in my position to the teacher and can't change it now. Man, the education system sucks. And this wouldn't bother me if you didn't have some genuinely good material too, being someone I can typically go to for thought-provoking and informative content. Not being a disposable slackjaw is what makes this pattern of yours such a disappointment. The issues worth noting about High Guardian Spice aren't to do with the show, but its marketing. And that's clear if you actually watch DigiBro's video without deciding your opinion beforehand. Who made the show doesn't and shouldn't matter when deciding whether or not to watch it, but it's front and center of the advertising to the point that it wholly consumes the trailer. Thank you very much to The Very Mask for helping me script this video and for making me sound smart. If any of you would like to talk to me about just about anything, you can hit me up on Twitter at NotAVampyre. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time.